Evening, everybody. This live broadcast, and oh, hang on, I still got some messages coming in from other places. But yeah, why is it Carillion life and everything, including the number 42? You may be asking that relating to what I'm talking about. Um, the first thing is number 42 is oh, it's relative to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And if you're a fan of that, that's it's to do with life and everything. Carillion, in the sense that I'm probably in a better position I have been for several years, because I can openly talk about what they've done. I've worked for Carillion for nearly a decade, and I'll be honest with you right now, I'm making more income in much a broader sense that I don't really need to fear. And I do use this word fear, their blacklisting, because they do blacklist people. And there's a blacklist that exists between different companies in the facilities management industry to stop people talking about reality in the industry. But what you've actually got right now is they're all feeling the pain. Carillion is feeling more pain than others, but pretty much all of them are not delivering because, quite simply, they have mismanaged things for years and now in a position where other people having to step in and going, let's have a look at your accounts. Um, Grand Adam, buenas noches from La Roja. Hey, how's it going? Um, Now, I will tell you about my exit in Carillion. I wasn't allowed to before, and to be honest, right now, I am probably in a better position purely because I sit in Spain. Spain is a much more socialist country, and I'd love to see Carillion try and screw me over here, um, with the protection of having a country that actually fights in your corner. The UK is very difficult because if you actually look at what Carillion does and how it's managed to manipulate things for its own rewards, there seems to be things like a lot of ex-Navy officers, etc., that have ended up working for Carillion on retirement. But that only goes so far because at the end of the day, most of these people are very incompetent and have been for a long period of time, which is why now their share value is tanking. Which gets back to me. Back to me. When I was leaving Carillion, I flagged up the fact that a contractor was costing them about £1 million a year because of their negligence and poor performance. Carillion rewarded me for doing this and bringing it up, by trying to blacklist me and threaten me with legal action. Now, bear in mind, this is an internal thing. This is me actually talking to the company internally and saying, look, there's a problem here, you're losing money. And their response is to threaten me. That's why they're sitting here with bigger holes in their um, bigger holes in their budget than a fat person with curried pants with diarrhea. The reality is they're simply not able to deal with the problems they have created on purpose. And I say on purpose because I know some people said, oh, they've had some contracts fail, they've had this. Do you know what? When I was out in the Middle East about 5 years ago, there were forward trading debt then. The CEO disappeared with 1.6 million, along with the financial, I think it was the financial director, also disappeared with a huge chunk of change themselves, and then released to the market that the whole thing was failing. They disappeared with millions and have been paying themselves millions for a long period of time. That is the reality of Carillion. Now, for me, ethically, I've always fought my corner. This is probably why I ended up fighting my corner to the point I just quit and said, you know, you can stick your job. Um, I'm not compensating for failures within the business. And I flagged up the fact that there was problems, and at the same time, I flagged up there was over £1 million missing from one contractor. And then I flagged up the fact that simply I don't want to work here. So I put my notice in. I wanted to leave. And you know what they tried to do? They tried to sack me before I left, because this left them an opportunity to say I'd stolen something from them. And I have all the emails, because the thing is, I kept all these emails because unknown to them, I was actually involved with a union in the UK. And I just asked them, what have I stolen? You accuse me of stealing something. What have I stolen? Zero response. The reason there was zero response is the same reason I suspect. I emphasize this is speculation for legal reasons. But let's imagine you were working at Burger King, and I'm just going to say it's Burger King, and you've come up with the next best thing beyond the burgers they're producing. And I'll be unfair to Burger King. I don't know if they operate the same way as Carillion does, but somebody is onto the fact that you're smarter than the business. You're producing something better than the business. So what you try to do is actually say you've stolen something that doesn't exist, something that won't exist for a long period of time, because quite simply, they are buying something you haven't even produced yet. And the whole point of this, of trying to sack you before you leave, is to turn around and say you've stolen our secret recipe. Yet there is no secret recipe. All they know is you're actually thinking of something that you have not yet produced. Now, in Carillion's terms, and I'll be honest, this is the way I think they did this, is the assumption that I had actually produced a better asset management program and application and software, etc. And I'll be honest with you, I have. I'm far superior to what they had produced in that time. Way more superior, because it was run by idiots. Now, the fact that they assume I stole it is completely nonsense, because it didn't even exist while I worked there. I actually gave them a opportunity to take an app for free, because they had spent a very small amount on an app to give to contractors, and I gave them a solution that they simply didn't buy into. The reason being is stupidity. But at the end of the day, when they knew I was leaving, they turned around and thought, "Oh, this guy seems to be smarter than we are." In that sort of, I know that's a bit of a dumb voice, but at the same time, it almost seemed that stupid. So when I left, they accused me of stealing something. I requested what they assumed I had stolen. They had nothing to say, because it hadn't even been invented yet. This is the sort of thing they do. Now, it may sound pretty speculative, and I can't confirm this with facts, so I'll just say, in my own thoughts and my own opinion, they stole some other software from other companies previously relating to IT training and other things in a very similar way. The fact that these things hadn't even been developed yet, and then there was an assumption that there has been some sort of theft, even though it didn't even exist. They're just preempting the fact that they know you're going to deliver something in the future, but you know what they can deliver? They can stick it up their ass. I moved away from all this. I'll be honest with you, in the last year, I have not really focused on assets as much. I've been focused on other ventures. And this is why it's quite, I would say, humorous, because the thing is, humorous is a bit wrong, because it's sort of like being covered in honey and rubbing yourself in warm honey in a sense that you've actually done something of positive out of somebody else's failure. The reality is the company has failed, failed, and failed. For me, I feel sorry for the people that still work there. I feel sorry for people that have been robbed by them. And I feel sorry for those guys that were in a similar position for me that are actually very good at what they do and were screwed over for the benefit of the company. But on top of this, I would actually add an extra layer that it's exactly why the facilities management industry needs a complete overhaul. Because I'm not being funny, people like myself will stand their own grounds. Everyone else will be like cockroaches under sunlight. They'll hoard to the small corner and they don't want to stand out. They don't want to be the one that's burned by sunlight. They don't want to be the one that's seen. It's sad. There is a problem within the industry. There is a problem the fact that nobody protects anyone else. I have many friends, and they all turn around and say that although they understand where I'm coming from, they would not stand out in the sunlight with me. I'd be the Life of Brian guy, where I'm crucified in the cross and going, always looking the bright side of life, where some of the people around me would be, well, we would have helped if we could. And I don't knock them for that. They have families, they have kids, they have mortgages, etc. But I do think the whole problem in the facilities management industry is built on fear. There's too many people are scared to turn around and say, this is a failed thing. This doesn't work. There is problems in this. The money is being siphoned off by people at the top, and they're destroying the entire industry. Myself, I'm honest. I'm honest. And I'll be honest with you right now, it's quite funny. I'm going to mention somebody's name here because they ain't going to like it. But at the end of the day, I really do not care. Let me have my look at it. Here is this is a guy that relies on people like myself to deliver them wealth. They are a parasite in the sense that they're reliant on making money off the back of people like myself. They're reliant on my friendship because they are nothing more than a contractor, an agency, etc. And he unfriended me recently, Ulf Muller, the German guy. And all I can say is, like, as I mentioned, I emailed him. I was surprised you unfriended me, as we talked previously. And your advice was actually, he's surprised I worked for Carillion and wasn't more of an entrepreneur. I am not a friendly entrepreneur in the sense that I kiss everyone's ass around me. I am an aggressive entrepreneur in the sense that I want to move into FM, and I will do in the next 12 to 18 months, but I am not going to be anybody's friend. Ulf Muller, our friendships, you had it, you lost it, and I just want to turn around and say, welcome to you. You know, at the end of the day, I don't hate you, I don't dislike you, but there is opportunities there that you've just thrown down the water because you're more concerned about what I've just said about Carillion, I'm sure. Now, moving on to life and everything. Because obviously I don't really want to talk about Carillion about the whole night. Life in Spain is pretty good. I'm sat here having a few beers, and I've had people go, "Man, I don't trust you now. You've had a few beers, blah blah blah." Grow up. Myself, I'm not an alcoholic. You know, today is the first alcoholic drink I've had in at least a week. But sometimes the reason I have a few beers at this time of night is quite simply I have worked all week. If you guys are working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, please be aware I start from 8 to 10 in the morning till probably 11 o'clock at night, which it is now, 7 days a week. I am busy making money for my family. So on a Friday, I have this thing where I have a beer Friday. It's simply because I'm simply going to be very honest. Beer helps with honesty. And that's an important fact in here. And I just want to say to Grand Adam, it's nice and cold here. It's cold here too. The house I'm in right now doesn't have any insulation. But at the same time, it's still warm in the UK. Don't worry about it. But the whole point of this is life in Spain has been very good to us. Sorry, that's unfair. We've been very good to Spain. We spend a lot of money here. I'm spending about 60,000 euros a year here. We have a better life than most people, and it'd be unfair for me to actually turn around and say everyone can have my same lifestyle. I spend a lot more money than most people. But at the same time, I earn a lot more money than most people, and I understand that. And this is why when people say to me, "Mate, I can't live on your income because I have blah blah blah," I cut my income down to be honest with sometimes where I'm saying, when some people say I can live in the Philippines on $300 a month, I'm like, good. Hope you like hunting for fish and living in a house with no aircon. If that's your thing, that's fine. In Spain, I like my tapas. I like lobster. I like going out and eating twice or thrice times a week. That is my lifestyle. I like living in a 4-bedroom house where last year we were living in a 2-bedroom house. I like having my own office. I like the expenditure of having this extra space. A swimming pool that's in our own development, a tennis court that's in our own development. Yes, we pay more, but we get more. My wife's happy, the kids are happy. And like on Monday, my wife's going, I need 80 euros for this. I just go, whatever, just get it. And I can understand a lot of people can't afford that sort of lifestyle, but I don't knock your lifestyle. I'll be honest with you. There's nobody I will turn around and say, ha ha, your life is not so good as mine. Because at the end of the day, we do what makes us happy. If you're happy and content, that's all that matters to me. I'm not sitting here with a competition. There is no prizes in life. There is no prizes. There is no awards. There is nothing that competes you against somebody else unless you let them. In my lifestyle, be happy. That's all I ask. If you're happy, then that's all I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. You're content. You're doing what you want to do. That's all that matters for me. That's the most important things for me, to be honest, is everybody's happy. You're on the right plane. You're in the right place, and you understand exactly the same way I feel. I could be driving a Maserati and having a 12-bedroom house, and I'd have the same happiness that I have in my 4-bedroom house with an old Volkswagen van. At the end of the day, it's being happy that's important. Terry McGreevy, greetings from Deval. Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a good time down there. Isn't something going on there at the moment, actually, politically? I hear there's something going on politically at the moment. I keep getting news feeds on stuff that I'm no longer relevant with, in the sense that I don't keep up with it. I've got so much stuff on my own stuff going on. When people go, man, have you seen this? I'm like, no, I'll put it in my emails and I'll look later because I'm so busy. It may sound a bit selfish, but that's the reality. I'm just ridiculously busy. There you go. Grand Adam. Hey, Terry, my wife is from Deval del Sur. Hey, Grand Adam, here's a question. Do you actually know any of the other Filipinas here? Because if we don't, I can introduce you to several. Obviously, my wife, and we've got friends over in Quesada, and some other places. Gordon and May are not far from here. There was a funny thing that we were at the garden center about a week ago, and I buy a lot of plants, and I can't really show it in the videos, but if you look at my Instagram, you'll see my pictures of my plants. I love my plants. I've got to admit, I don't sit there talking to them, but I do admire them. But I bought some. What did I buy the other day? I bought some bamboo. I bought some bamboo. It's quite expensive, but I bought it. We've got bamboo here. We got plants in pretty much every room in our house, and also outside. Spent a lot of money, probably about 300 or 400 euros on plants in the last 2 months. Um, but yeah, we're at the garden center. Getting back to what I was talking about, and an older lady. I would say an older lady in the sense that she was older than my wife. Not that I was trying to be abusive in any form. Said to my wife, "Oh, are you from the Philippines?" And my wife goes, "Yeah, I'm from England, England." She goes, "Oh, I'm from Talise." Now, Talise is like the next town. That's how close. Bizarre. Sitting in Spain, two people from the Philippines talk, and they're literally a town apart. But then she goes, "Oh, all my friends are much older." Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. And we sort of met and chatted, and it all seemed a bit. For me, it's a bit surreal these days. Um, yeah, that's it. Grandin. My wife has plenty of Filipino friends, and last weekend we met one from Victoria City, Basque Country. Yeah, well, this is a bizarre thing. There is surprisingly a large number of Filipinos in here, and I'll get to my point about the garden center. One of our friends is Anna, who is married to Peter. Peter's from Yorkshire, and they come over to meet us, and April helped them with their paperwork for residency in Spain. It was their NIE, doing their NIE paperwork. All friends, but the woman that April met at the garden center was then meeting where, because Anna works in the bar, met the same woman in the bar 2 or 3 days later, and then everybody's like interwoven. It's like, oh, I know there, and like you said, yeah, you bump into people, and it's just like so bizarre. The world is so far apart, but you bump into people that are right on your doorstep. Um, yeah, that was the funny thing, because in this area you don't really hear about Filipinos, but surprisingly, there's a lot more than we think. Because every time, I mean, May is April's friend. April's friends with Anne. Anne's met the same woman that was at the garden center. The woman at the garden center has got multiple Filipino friends that are in their 50s and 60s. There's quite a lot of Filipinos here that on the surface. I'll tell you what is funny though, my daughter, because my daughter, she's very into Japanese stuff, and this is where it's quite funny because we go to the Chinese store, she sees Chinese kids and stuff, and she will say to them, because she's got autism, but she'll say things like konnichiwa and stuff, Japanese, and it's just like cringe worthy. You're just like, it was funny at the park last week because my daughter was like konnichiwa, and this girl's probably about 10 or 11 years old, and you could see it's like like that the age group, you're just like, that's Japanese, I'm Chinese. It was just so funny because my daughter just like carries on, does her own thing, but the girl she clicked on to what she was saying. It was just very, very funny for me. But obviously my daughter's moved on, and I'm the guy who stood there with this girl looking at me like, why does your daughter think I'm Japanese? It's just very funny. But she does that on a regular basis. Grand Adam, my wife has plenty of Filipino friends, and last week we met one from Victoria City, Basque Country. Yes, the lady in Victoria, she said there are more than 20 in that city. Bilbao, hundreds, and Madrid, thousands. Yeah. Um, I was in Barcelona. I think there's at least, I don't know how many, at least 20,000 Filipinos in Barcelona. I know it's at least 100,000 in London. So yeah, it is just bizarre how you bump into people, but it's how connected everyone is. Everyone seems to know somebody, and you end up back with a relative. You're all interwoven in some form that you're all connected very, very closely. A lot more than you would actually think in real life. But it's real life. You know, these people go, oh, so you're such and such. Where do you come from? Oh, yeah, my aunt comes from such and such. Her husband's married to such and such. His niece is from blah, blah, blah. And you end up coming back that you're all related. Yeah, the big thing in Barcelona, big warning, is be watch your wallets. I mean, that was the funny thing when we went to Barcelona. The Filipinos we met were just walking to take. I was taking April to the cathedral, and the Filipinos are like, "Hey, Philippines, blah blah. Watch your wallet. So many pickpockets here, so many thieves," and that that was the conversation in Barcelona. If you're in Barcelona, watch your wallet. Even better, don't have one. Um, the amount of thieves in there is ridiculous. It's horrendous. It's world famous for stealing. Now, next conversation. What shall we move on to next? If you have anything you want me to talk about, please put it in the live chat section. Okay, life and everything. Everything I'll move on to next. Everything, I find Spain is doing quite well in the sense that although the economy here is quite naff, I would actually say that because it's stagnant, it makes it quite easy to live here. Once you adapt to it, it's not seeing huge food rises and other things that other countries may be having. I know the UK is suffering with this false Brexit, and I say false Brexit is because there's things like fish fingers being dropped out. You know, like when you used to get I have no idea, but like say you got fish fingers for £1, you got 12. You're suddenly getting 10. There is no change in Europe right now. The Brexit hasn't happened yet. I'll tell you what, the supermarkets are stealing your money, and you should be offended by it. Go to Aldi, go to Lidl. No. In all honesty, they are stealing. There's no reason for these price shortages or anything else. The prices haven't changed yet. It's still ongoing. Yeah, Grandad, and as it says, Madrid, especially in Metro, you have to be very careful. Lots of thieves. Yeah, no, I'm not going to say the word Romanian. So I'm not going to say that at all. But at the same time, there has been a lot of issues because a lot of it is not internal; it's from other places within Europe. But for myself, I've had my wallet pickpocketed here in Torrevieja, and I'm not saying Romanians, but it was Romanians. And most of my problems have come from anything to do with theft in this area is from a specific group, but I can't name who they are because it's not politically correct. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's Grand Adam says, let's say Easterners. Yeah. See, that's unfair on everybody else because most of my friends are from Ukraine, Russia, another Estonia, Albania, and other places. There only seems to be one place that seems to let them down, and it's only a certain group. Because I've been told off before with people saying, "Don't you turn around and say that's from our country. These people are just blah blah blah." It's like, okay, you hate them more than we do. That's fair enough. And I'm not saying that all people from these specific locations are the same, because like one of my son's best friends is from the same country, but his mother drives a Porsche Cayenne, and they were obviously not pickpocketing me on a Friday. but at the same time, it doesn't stop the ones that do it. So that's why I'll turn around and say, I'm not saying everybody's the same, but I do. It's a bit like the problems in the UK. They come from specific groups, and it's not all the groups. It just happens to be that those people come from that group. You know, if the population's, I don't know, 50 million and 500,000 are the criminal groups, and they just happen to be the ones that are proactive in this, I'm not blaming the entire population. I'm just saying that 500,000 are a bloody nightmare. And that's the reality of this. They're the ones that spread themselves right across Europe and everything else. And this is the problem. I'm not going to get into the Brexit, and I'm not going to get into the fake universities and who sorts their passports and everything out, because we're going to get into a lot of trouble, because quite simply, YouTube doesn't like us actually talking about those sort of things. It's not politically correct, even though it is correct. Terry McGreevy, could me and my wife live on £900 a month over there? If you own your property, I would say yes. If you don't, you're going to struggle. It's easy as that. Yeah, as Greg Adams says, you're right, and they make many problems in the all year. Yeah, because I'm not allowed to say the truth. And the bit on Carillion at the start of this video, they actually threatened me with legal action, even though I wasn't actually doing anything wrong. I wasn't even going to go public with anything. All I was actually trying to do is actually warn them there was a major problem in the business where somebody disappeared with about £1 million. Their response was to try and sack me before I actually left the company, because I'd already handed my notice in. I was already leaving, and all they had to do was just sitting there and leave me, let me go quietly. But instead, they tried to sack me. I've got to admit, unions, I'm not a big fan of unions in the way that they've affected some of the industry in the UK. But in this sort of stuff, they were very, very good, very supportive. And I will support the unions in this sense. Some of these corporations are just very brutal, very negative, and blackmailing. So I can understand some of it from one side or the other. But here, life in Spain is good. I've got to admit, the 3 months from right now are the worst of the year, because I actually have to wear long sleeve shirts. That's how sad it is. And I would have a violin here, because quite simply, it's winter time. I actually have to put a long sleeve shirt on because it's cold enough to need that. And I'm not on about in the house, I'm on about outside. Yeah, I don't need to wear a coat here at all. If I have to put a coat on, it's because I feel very strange next to Spaniards that think this is the winter when it's almost like the UK summer. But yeah, life is pretty good here. In all honesty, the food's good, people are nice, the housing is much bigger. I was watching something in the UK. What was I watching? How to Get a Council House is one of those reality TV shows. I watched one episode yesterday, or the first 5 minutes of it. And they're on about 220 pounds, 220 pounds of your finest pounds to rent a 2-bedroom house in Hounslow in London for 1 week. And I'm like, yeah, keep it. I pay €440 for a 4-bedroom house per month in Spain. I don't understand why anybody would pay that stupid amount. Grand Adam, Terry, if you can buy a house and you can find good prices, find good price ones too, then with that money you can live well. But if you pay a rent with it, then it will be a bit short, even when possible. I agree. If you've got no, see, this is the bit that people don't seem to understand with my finances. Right now, I'm in a house that's cost me 440 a month, 440 euros a month. It's going to cost me about 70,000 euros to buy it, and I'll buy it in cash. But the bit they miss is it's going to cost me another 7,000 in tax, and then probably not a lot more because all this stuff relating to a mortgage and stuff, they can kiss my backside because I don't need it. I'm going to try and buy it in cash so that these guys don't stick a couple of leeches on me for the next 25 years. I literally want it paid for upfront, gone, bill paid. And then if I can work a way of actually doing this, if somebody's got some information on how to do this, where an owner of a property can lease it to me or something else, which is tax deductible, etc., where I pay no tax because it's a tax loss every year, let me know, because I'm looking at buying this place, and financially, I'm in a very good position recently. This is why I've come out with the Carillion stuff recently, because my old work relating to asset management, I don't care. I've just burned it. I really don't, because financially, I'm making money elsewhere, to the point I don't care. You know, I feel more relieved today by being able to be honest on that stuff, because it's bothered me for a long period of time. You know, when you had that Glenfell fire in London, where all the cladding burned down and the building was like a big fire all up the outside and just killed all those people. Do you know Carillion didn't even know if their compliance on their fire safety was actually compliant that week? I'm not talking old stuff. They didn't even know that week. The reason I know is an internal memo was sent around asking people if they knew about the cladding on the buildings they'd just done in Birmingham. And you know the irony here, I can talk to you guys because no media group is going to pick up on this stuff. They're not interested in the facts, because at the end of the day, I could sell Carillion down the river like no tomorrow, because I have more facts and information than probably most other people, because one of the problems I do have are that I'm terrible with names. I'm a nightmare with figures because I remember everything. Yeah, after the week after Glenfell fire, they had an internal audit because they didn't even know if they were compliant on the cladding of the buildings they had literally just finished in Birmingham. Literally that week. That's how bad it was. Now we get on to number 42. What is number 42? Number 42 is the number to the life and everything. It's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you haven't read it, it's worth a read. If you watch the movies, they're not as good as the book. But at the same time, it's worth taking a look at. Has anybody else got any questions? What would you like to ask me? Just ask anything. I'm not going to throw any music up on here because, quite simply, I haven't prepared any. But please feel free to ask any questions whatsoever. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't be shy. Nothing? This is so quiet. I just seen some tumbleweed roll by. I'm not even in the desert. Nothing? Nada? Voila? Nothing. Okay. What is the temperature right now here? Grand Adams asked me what the temperature is. My wife April tells me the temperature every day. She's like, it's 11 degrees in here. It's 20 degrees. In honesty, I have no idea. I'm from the Highlands of Scotland. my family are very thick blooded and stuff, so I don't know what the cold is. Even when I was a kid, I'd wear shorts and t-shirts in the snow. We're born that way. That's just the way we are. We don't feel the cold. Cold is just an attitude. Um, Terry McGreevy, do you miss the Philippines? What I miss about the Philippines, I have to admit, is my wife's parents. Very, very good people. And we lost the father-in-law this year, which, to be honest, was quite hard for me. Because the guy, he took me in as his son early on, and although some people say how Filipinos bleed off them, he treated me extremely well. We used to go to basketball games and stuff like that together, and did son stuff. I've got to admit, I don't really do that much stuff with my own father. My father was a staff sergeant in the military. He's there is no emotional attachment with my own parents. I lost my mother this year as well, but it's like right now, one of the most important things for me is to get my mother-in-law to come to Spain, get her out of the Philippines, her first travel abroad, and I'm going to throw her in a car and take her to the Vatican. Because if you know Catholics, the Vatican is the Holy Grail. I'm going to do that. For me, I've got to admit, I get more satisfaction and self gratification by seeing the smiles on other people's faces. Um, Doing that for my mother-in-law, to where she could actually go and see where the pub's been and stuff like that. Um, for her, it would be a lifelong thing where she wouldn't even have expected to achieve that. For me, it's a moment in my head that puts that valuation at a time that says I helped to do this, but also um, it puts everything in perspective. Giving somebody that happiness and that level of happiness and being able to achieve something um, is very important to me. Very, very important to me. Because myself, I'm not really fussed on myself. I'm quite content most of the time. But if I can actually make somebody do something they've always wanted to do, that is way more important to me. Seeing that happiness and um, just fulfilling something that's a lifelong ambition, it's more important. I'd like to see my mother-in-law go to the Vatican, do all that Christian stuff, because obviously I'm not religious. Um, that means a lot to me. That means a lot. I mean, one of the things I will say about my mother's demise is, could I have done more? The answer is no. I've tried. I tried for years to do more for her, but she's much more difficult to deal with. But my mother-in-law, she is content with whatever she's got, which is why I really want to make this happen for her. Also, obviously, we lost our father-in-law this year. Well, I lost my father-in-law, and he was a very good guy as well. My father himself, he is independent himself. He's very into his photography and doing his own thing, and my sister and her daughter. So he's content. He doesn't really need me involved at all. Um, so yeah, I've got to admit, I do put more on my wife's parents, because quite simply, I would say, not that they appreciate it more, but it's more, I can do more for them. And for me, I get more out of it, because my parents, they're content with whatever they've got anyway. It's very difficult to actually do much for them. Um, Yeah, Terry McGreevy. I was in Thailand for 13 years, but I love the Philippines. The whole thing about the Philippines right now is Jay from the Real Deal channel is living in one of my apartments. He's loving it there. He actually enjoys the area. Because, like, I mean, the way he puts it is, if he was in a condo in the city, he'd be paying more rent and going to bars every night, etc., enjoying the nightlife. Where he is, he can go and sit outside, have a few beers, and chill out. He's actually saving money by simply living there because the facilities are less, but at the same time, it's not slumming it. That's for sure. It's a good lifestyle there. Uh, yeah, Terry McGreevy, but the drama here is too much. With the expats here. Yeah, is he still there? Yeah, he's still there. He's been there about 8 months, I think. Now he loves living in one of my apartments. He's already just upgraded the aircon. The aircon just arrived this week. He's bought a new fridge. He's upgraded the other bits and pieces. Because my apartments are based around keeping it cheap. The reason being is, if you live there and decided I want a bigger TV, I want to put aircon in, I want to put a new fridge in, I do not care. At the end of the day, do what you like in there. As long as you're happy and paying the rent, I don't care. Just look after the property. And that's why I don't put all this stuff in it front, because at the end of the day, it has to be built into the rent. I'd rather give you cheaper rent and you buy what you like. That simple as that. Uh, yeah, Norwegian polar bear. Jay said in the latest vlog that he planned to visit you, mate. Yeah, he's going to come over to Spain on a trip. I'm not being funny. Between me and Jay, we've been making some pretty good money. I'm not. I can't really talk about it too much because we're still on the verge of moving from where we are to where we want to be. But myself, I'll be quite happy with 50,000 euros a month. That's what I'm looking for. Terry McGreevy, he has not seen him for a long time on videos. No. In all honesty, a lot of stuff in the YouTube genre has been very negative, and like myself, I don't really do much myself these days because I've been busy with other stuff. But at the same time, we both be making some good money. It's a case of not really needing to put too much out there, because a lot of time, if you look at Jay's recent video, I think he said he got 14 dislikes for just talking about his stereo. That's pretty much one of the problems in the Philippine genre, is a lot of people do not appreciate success. At the same time, they've been approaching Jay asking how he's managed to live there 8 months of the year already and buying all this new stuff. There is a problem in the Philippines genre. That's all I can say on that. There's a lot of negativity in it, too much negativity in it. And I would say those with the biggest mouths often aren't even expats. They're just tourists. I mean, if you can't live there sustainably for long term, you're still a tourist. I know some people don't like me to say that, but that's the reality. You look at JLB. JLB is nothing more than a tourist. He spends his money there in his own little way with men, or men that are women or whatever. But that's his own thing. But then he sits there criticizing everybody else that's actually been there a lot longer than him. Yeah, Terry McGreevy. I like him because there is no BS. Yeah, see, the thing is, I've got to be honest. There is no BS with me, but I'm very diplomatic. At the end of the day, if you ask my opinion on something, I don't mind giving it, but a lot of people don't like hearing it. But Jay's doing good. I mean, talking to him earlier because we got a project we're working on together at the moment. But at the end of the day, he's living in one of my apartments. He's just upgraded it. He's happily living there. He's got everything he needs. He's got Jollibee and McDonald's on speed dial. One of the things we did talk about is actually moving away from that and maybe pay to actually get him a cook to come in and cook his food, so he moves off the crap stuff. Outback Dave, hi Matt. Hey, how did your trip go? Um, just back from Manila, and JLB is a nutter. Yes. Anybody that this is a bit unfair, but true. Anybody that's actually full blown Scientology, I would say I would put them on my nutter radar, and JLB would be like off the top of it because he's right in there. Can you guys just chat for 2 seconds? It's a pity. Did anybody want to come on a live chat? By the way, you guys can come on a live chat. I don't mind. End of the day, we can have a live chat because at the same time, I want to go to the toilet anyway. So if anybody wants to actually come on for a live chat, you can chat while I'm off air for 2 minutes on a broadcast that we've got 5 viewers right now. we we're pushing it. We're pushing it big, guys, tonight. We've got 5 viewers in. Yeah, I'll post a link. Anybody wants to come on. And if anybody's trolling, which they seem quite quiet these days, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really fussed on trolls. I never really had an interest in them in the first place. But let me find this link, and then if anybody wants to go on for a live chat, I'm going to nip to the bathroom, and you guys can come on and have a chat. Where are you? Where are you hiding? Yeah, Outback Dave, it was fantastic. You have to tell us what you've done. You have to tell us why it was fantastic. You're gonna have to come on and explain everything to us. Where's the link on this? Links. Here we go. Okay, so this link, this is a YouTube page, video embed. Hang on. Add people. I'm gonna post this link. You can come on this. This should actually work. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I'm going to the bathroom. Please join the link. I'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, guys. Anybody join me on the chat or not? Yeah, well, see, the thing is, Manila is quite condensed. That's what I will say about Outback Dave. It's a very dense place to be. There is other places to be, and Cebu is an interesting one because it's slightly less condensed, but it's much easier to go out to the provinces as well. I'm glad Dave had a good time, by the way, because the thing is, me and Dave have been chatting for I don't know how long now. It's good that he's actually gone out there and done the trip. Um, for me, it's a good thing in the sense that he's now done it. He can actually turn around and say, "Yeah, I've been there, done it, experienced it," and I'm sure it's opened some other windows. You know, the sense that it opens your eyes to the rest of the world. What do you think, Dave? Dave, come on to the live chat. Come on, just come on for 5 minutes. Tell us about your trip. You don't have to talk about much else. Just tell us how the trip went and all that sort of stuff. Just have to come on for 5 minutes. Or maybe not. Dave says it was you who inspired me. Yeah, I've got to admit, I was really surprised. Um, it was I've got to admit the YouTube stuff sort of changed things. Is because up until that point, I hadn't really engaged too much with people because I just write stuff. And this is like where the website went down, I lost like 9,000 articles. But people then turn around and says, Matt, you know what? I went to the Philippines, I married this woman and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hang on a minute. You've been following me for 8 years and not even mentioned it. You make contact on YouTube. You know, it's like, yeah, I did this and did that, and it's like because I watched your stuff when you first moved to the Philippines. I was like, whoa, I didn't even, I don't even know these guys exist. The same way here in Spain, people actually walk up to me and say, "You're the guy on YouTube," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay. What do you want me to do? I don't know what you're asking me." Because I have several channels now. It's we had a couple of friends come recently, and they were just like, "Wow, this is," they were in my office area, and they're just like, "Wow, this is where it's filmed." It just for me, it was just like where somebody watches your stuff, and it's like a film studio. They're just like, I've watched every episode of Bewitched or something, and it's just like this is the studio. For me, it was just like it just seems so weird, because it's just like, yeah, I just do this stuff because I like sharing my experiences and trying to share what I've done and let other people have the same opportunities. Because everyone says you're happy where you work, you're happy with what you're doing, you can enjoy life when you retire. Where I'm like, to hell with that, enjoy life now. Get out there, do what you want to do. Build it into your life plan. Don't do the mortgage. Don't do this. Don't buy the new car or whatever. Get an old car. Instead of giving the bank that money every month, pay it off, early on. Spend the money on a holiday. Go to the Philippines. Do this, do that. Enjoy life. Yeah, that's it. I mean, as you know, I drive around in a 1999 Volkswagen van. I'm not a person that suffers with vanity issues. I'd much rather see the smile on my kid's face because they spent tonight doing something with Lego Club than driving around in a new car. I've got to admit, I'm quite happy with seeing other people's happiness. That's something I do enjoy is seeing the happiness in other people in their faces. That's probably so wrong in today's society. I'm sure if I sat with Paris Hilton, she would sit there looking at me going, Matt, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, Terry, the last time we went in Manila, I ended up pushing the mini cab. It ran out of petrol. Everyone was amazed at the white man pushing a cab. Yeah, I've got to admit, they were the same when I did construction because I built a retaining wall and stuff, and everyone's just like, why is the white guy building that? Why is that? It's like, how, I'm not being funny. How can you move away from colonialism when people are actually telling you don't do that. Go and get yourself somebody else to do it for you. It's like, I can't do that. I spent 25 years in construction and maintenance. I do all this stuff myself. It's like, it's easier for me to do it than it often is to explain to people to do it the way they should be doing it. And I say should because a lot of them do it with what they've been taught, which is often wrong. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I do understand the rule books a fair bit more than anyone else because that is what I do. I I suppose I can define myself as a asset management and professional auditor. So yeah, somebody that actually knows the rule books. I'm your guy. Beyond that, yes, mechanically, electrically, I know this stuff anyway. Things like I equals V over R, etc. I learned it all as a young teen. It's like recently I was explaining to somebody. Well, all I said was I wasn't born stupid, but I got wiser as I got older. Because they were trying to do something that they thought I wouldn't understand or whatever, and then they suddenly grasped that I knew it to a different depth to them, because they were following the way they learned it, but the way they learned it wasn't fully understanding on why, but simply the fact that they were set a certain way rather than why it's this way or why it's that way. Um, Terry McGreevy, my wife was telling me not to help him, but I could not leave him in the middle of the road. Yeah, it's an instinct to actually help other people. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, at the end of the day, it's in our human nature, and it's a bit like these YouTube channels. At the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, the Philippines channel doesn't make me any money. Actually, I won't say it doesn't make me any money. I'll just say it's less than $200 a month. But at the same time, it's good to share the experiences. And as Dave said, things like what Dave's just done makes me happy. Outback Dave has now been to out to the Philippines on his first trip, and he was motivated by this channel. That's what matters to me. At the end of the day, I've actually helped somebody do something different, and that's what puts a smile on my face. It's not about the money. The money is almost irrelative. If I turn around and told you this, which is the reality, how much money have I earned off YouTube in the last 3 or 4 years? The answer is zero, not 1 cent. Because I leave all the money in the Philippines. It helps my in-laws. It helps pay for emergency bills. I don't earn 1 cent from it. I send it all to the Philippines and have done for a long period of time. Because at the end of the day, as I said before, my in-laws means a lot to me, and I can take care of them, so I do. At the end of the day, I know some other people go, well, I don't get on my in-laws, or it's not my responsibility, or whatever. You know what? My in-laws have been very, very good to me, and one thing I do have the ability is to make money, and if I can afford to look after them, I will do. If I bring my mother-in-law to Spain business class next year, it looks like it'll be probably about February, March now, I will do. It's no benefit to me financially. If anything, it's a hindrance. But at the same time, my mother-in-law is important to me. That's it. That's one of the things people forget is the importance of other people. Be happy. Yeah, pushing the cab. I've had the same before. I've had my Jeep break down in the middle of Cebu, and I did a Filipino jeepney, GP, which is the Jeep, not the jeepney, which has got the long cab on it. It's actually just like a normal Jeep. It's called a GP. And in the area is quite a rough area, but they still push started it and helped me get it started. without any problems. You know, at the end of the day, some people, maybe they would rob you, maybe this. And I'm like, most people in the Philippines are pretty cool. You know, at the end of the day, I wasn't sitting there with a Rolex on my wrist. I'm driving around a 35,000 peso car. They're not sitting there going, "Oh, we can make a lot of money off this guy." I'm just like, I haven't even got my wallet with me, you know, so I could give them a like 20 pesos, but that's about it because I ain't even got any cash on me. The car's just like got the traffic lights, stalled, and gone off, and you can see the lights. You know, you got the dim lights because it's not running off the diesel engine, and it's like, oh. And the guys are just like, "Well, just push it," and I'm like, "Here, so every time I went past there for the next several years, I always bought water even though I didn't need it because the guys were the guys that the vendors on the street. I do appreciate stuff with that, with people that actually work hard and quite simply, okay, I'm not really in a position to give them money at that time because I didn't have my wallet on me. I just gone into the city to do something. And then with the lights being on at night and poor electrics, installing in the traffic, I lost. I just gone into the city to do something, and then with the lights being on at night and poor electrics, installing in the traffic. Got audio feedback. Into the city to do something. That's a bit strange. I got some audio feedback there for a second.
Because I've joined.
Ah, hang on a second there. Ah, it's your feedback. It's not my feedback, Dave.
That's my feedback.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm like, I haven't touched anything. I'm not even touching the screen. I'm like, where did that audio come from?
Okay. I killed the audio from your feed. Is it good?
Yeah, that's it. That's better now. I'll just turn my volume down because what I'll do, I'll try and send mine over the headset now because that'll actually help with the audio because otherwise my mic might pick it up as well. There you are over here. So you have to explain, how was the trip to the Philippines?
It was fantastic. It was really good.
So, yeah, I might still be getting some double feedback on this at the minute. So what it might not be so bad. So yeah, explain what happened. What happened on your trip? What made it your trip?
Well, firstly, Matt, I'd like to say hi. I've been talking with you via text for about, I don't know, 3+ years now, and it's really good to be able to have a conversation. And all these years of watching YouTube, and here I am on a live hangout. Who would have thought?
Yeah, yeah, it's big hi to you because I know we've exchanged a few messages over the years, and I'm happy that you've actually made that trip because I know we talked about it, and I think it started with the one relating to finance and how to like take control of your finances, which is something a lot of people just still do not do.
Yes, yes. Well, we'll digress for a second, but yeah, you helped me kill my credit card. It made me think more about how I look after my finances, and I managed to save to go overseas. I'm 54. I've never been overseas. I have my own mortgage. I'm a single guy, so getting overseas was a bit of an effort, but I'm so very happy that I did it. I loved Manila. It was great.
Yeah.
The traffic is insane. I went for a trip in peak hour traffic, and I can't tell you how far it was in kilometers, but I traveled.
Well, Dave, I'm just transferring you over to my headphones at the minute, so it might help the guys because there's a bit of a broadcast issue because just in case yeah, sorry, I'm just transferring it over. It should work now. Hang on a second. 2 seconds. If you speak for a sec, Dave, just so I can see.
Okay. So I traveled at 7 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
To a location, and I can't tell you how far away it was, but I got this app called Grab, and when I traveled, it took me, cut a long story short, it took me 2 hours and 10 minutes to reach my destination, leaving at 7 p.m. And when I came home at 3 o'clock in the morning, the same trip back took me 17 minutes.
Right. Yeah, welcome to the Philippines.
Yeah, it was insane. But in saying that, this guy taking all the back streets made it very interesting, very very interesting. It's very humbling after coming back. It's very much changed my perspective on many things.
Yeah, I mean, it's the poverty side, isn't it? When you see that level of poverty, it just changes the whole image on everything.
Yes, and the people are very nice, and but yeah, the poverty is shocking. Like, even though I've been watching the videos for oh, 5 years now in the Philippines, seeing on video and arriving and seeing it firsthand is very different.
Yeah, I found it very, it's just in your face. That's the thing, when you see it on TV or something, it just it's very surreal. Yeah, but when you're there, people are smiling even though they don't even know what they're going to eat by the end of the afternoon or that evening.
Yes, but people were so friendly. It's very heartwarming when, like, for instance, I got on this bus and I had two bags, and this guy just goes to give me a hand with my bag, and I'm a bit sort of paranoid because I'm on my own. I'm thinking, okay, and next day he's just helping me. And he puts my bags up, and I sit in this bus, and I'm watching the guy driving the bus. There's no instrumentation. There's wires everywhere. Um, just total chaos. I had chickens next to me. Um, I loved every minute of it. I think half my travel when I left Manila was a little bit of a sign language for anything that I wanted, even something simple as getting ice. I asked for ice at this resort that I went to, and it took me probably over a minute to communicate that I wanted ice. And that was after they finished laughing about my accent, and I started laughing too. And what made me laugh even more was I didn't really get the ice. She said to me, 50 pesos or 20 pesos for the ice. I said 50 pesos. Then after that, she said out of stock. And that's when I started to laugh. I mean to
Yeah,
say, why ask me how much if after that's going to be followed by out of stock?
yeah, that's the thing. It's like some of the stuff that goes on, it just seems so logical, but the responses, you're just wondering, it's so obvious. Why don't you understand what I'm saying? And it's I'll tell you what, the one that sticks out in my mind is for the water tanks, because I was after some bowl cocks, where you just have the water flow that goes up, and we call them bowl cocks in the UK. And you explain it, and people look at it, no idea what you're talking about, no idea whatsoever. There's no logical thought going, he's on about a water tank, he's on about a float, he's on about this. I know what that is. It's just like, I don't know what a bowl cucks. I have no idea what he's talking about, and that's it. They just switch off completely. You're just trying to go, it's for this one. No, I don't know what Bullcocks is. Yeah, but I'm trying to explain what it is. And no. And then like later on, I go, oh, you mean a float? It's like, it's like, yeah, I spent 2 hours trying to explain to you earlier. It's like, yeah, but we didn't say the word float. If you said float, I knew what it was.
You want to talk about milk? I'll make it even more simple. I'd like to talk about toilet paper.
The missing toilet paper, you mean? The invisible toilet paper.
Oh, yes. Like, I went to this restaurant in Chinatown. in Manila, and it's called the Presidential or something, and it's supposed to be a very upmarket place.
Yeah.
And when I went to the toilet, I don't know. I'm trying to choose my words. I'll just say there was shit on the wall. There was no toilet paper. There was one of those, they have that little water bucket, but it didn't have the ladle. And so I've gone in there and my stomach's just adjusting to everything. And at the last moment, I realized I don't have any toilet paper and I don't have the little ladle with the to use the water. So I've got this sort of bucket on the ground, half filled with water, and well, all I can say was it was a terrible experience.
Yeah,
Oh my
I've
God.
got to admit, when I went to Manila, I was up there for the paperwork for the embassy, and that was my first experience with a ladle. You know, where everyone's like having a shower and like they fill it up because obviously they got the curfews on the water, so it's off certain times of the day, so they'll leave it to fill up. So you got this freezing cold water, and it's just like this, like the equivalent of a pot to fill it, and you're just like, what's this for? You know, and it's like, you know, you just got up, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're just like, what's this? Why do I want to throw freezing cold water over me? Where's the hotel? You know, it's a completely different world in that sense.
Yes, mind you, they have no idea of a cold shower. When I went over there, I thought about how I would cope with having a cold shower. But I realized soon after being there, their idea of a cold shower is a lukewarm shower. It's not that bad.
Yeah, yeah. I've got to admit, I was brought up with a military family, and we did the training for kayaking and canoeing in military swimming pools, which are very, very deep, but they're very small. So they're always, you could have ice cubes floating on the top. You know, they're the sort of things that you dip, you have a quick dip in it, and your nipples feel the pain for the next 2 weeks.
Or just the back on the toilet thing. I knew to expect it, but again, seeing it firsthand and breathing it in, my God, sir. I went to a few bus terminals. What I thought was amusing was how they charge you the 5 peso to use the toilet, but if it's for, for number twos, it's a 10 pesos. And I'm thinking, how do they even know? Is there somebody monitoring you when you go in there? And then when I went into the toilet, one urinal was covered in masking tape, and another one was just so disgusting that, my God, but I still used it. And the thing was that was at the beginning. And towards the end of my holiday, because I was there for 20 days, I got used to it. The precious little snowflake that I was when I first visited was gone. Um, it's funny how quickly your perception changes, and it was a good thing. But it was very interesting. CRs in provincial areas were always an adventure. It was like, okay, what's going to happen in here?
That's it. Yeah, the big question is it actually going to have a toilet or is it a hole in the ground? That's the initial thing. Then it's like,
Yes.
is there any toilet paper? Or is it, the funny thing is my father's ex-military, and they used to have the one sheet of toilet paper. One of the things they had when they had their training is you fold it in half, then you would take out the size of just a small circular cutout in the middle of the toilet paper, because the whole point is you use the toilet paper to wipe your backside. The last bit is to actually wipe under your fingernail because you only have one sheet of toilet paper. So, so that, once you've adapted to that stuff, anything's luxury afterwards. You go back, you probably get back in Australia thinking life's good, because in comparison, everything's so much better. It's like you grumble about it, but when you've come from these environments, and you go back, you're thinking life's pretty good. It just changes your perspective that way.
Yes, but mind you, I did learn a valuable lesson. And that is, here in Australia, I think we're the heathens. After using what's lovingly referred to as the butt gun, um, I think that's far much better. It's a much cleaner way to finish the job. Like I actually intend to buy one. They're about $40. Good value.
What's that? Is that the shower for the butt, the old bidet?
Yeah, yeah. The affectionately known butt gun. Yes, exactly. The hose. Yeah, it's excellent. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, because here in Spain it's quite common, and I've just had a Italian couple saying they were asking about apartments for rental and if they have a bidet because they're like civilized, and they're like, because we're Italian, and it's like it's like okay, and it's the same with the Middle East. The Middle East have the bidets everywhere. And the funny thing is with this anti Islamic stuff, sometimes they go, "Oh, we use toilet paper. They use this," and I'm like, "Come on, guys, just sit there. Think about it. Wiping your body down with a damp towel? Is that better than actually having a shower? Just have a think about it. If you wipe your body with baby wipes, is that better than actually having a shower? The answer is no.
Yes, yes. Another amusing thing when I was over there is that I found that if I asked people a question, they were quite happy to give me the wrong information with a smile. And even for simple things, like there was this one guy, and I bought a bottle of tequila, and all I wanted was a lime. And mind you, I'm in Manila, and I'm in like an upmarket part of it. I was in the place I stayed was St. Francis Shangri-La in Pasig, and a very nice place. And it's attached to a high-end shopping centre. And anyway, I've gone into the supermarket in there. And I said to the young guy, "No, I just want to buy a lime." And he said to me, "Oh, they're over there." And I said, and I walked over there, and I came back, and because I couldn't find them, I said, "Where?" And he said, "Oh, I'm very sorry, it's my first day." And then he walked off.
yeah, but everything's over there. I got to admit, if my wife does that, it's over there. It's downstairs. It's in there, and you're like, but where? It's like it's just like you're just like go away. It's like you'll find it. Just go on your voyage. Just tell me. Because in the UK we're more like, well, Australia will be the same. It'd be like it's on the second shelf on the left, blah blah blah. But in the Philippines, it's like pulling your lips or just raise your arm and go, it's over there, and it's like, but where? I can't see it. I've just spent 20 minutes looking for it.
Yes, 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 and I got used to it. It was more funny than frustrating because it usually happened over the most silliest things. But some of the really heartfelt moments, the simple things like in the shopping centre, so many of the so-called assistants, which I say so-called because they're usually assisting nobody in the shops. There's like about, 3 people in the shop and 20 assistants, and 4 of them would be singing karaoke. And I think, well, that's a good day job, but I think it's brilliant that they can do that. But in Australia, as I suppose in a lot of other countries, if you're working at David Jones or Kmart or somewhere, they certainly wouldn't let you stand around singing. But in the Philippines, it's all good. Yeah, I loved that. Even the checkout chick in the supermarket, in between checking the stuff I'm buying, she's singing, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I think the attitude for a lot of the people in their stores is very positive, even though the pay structure is crap and they may be on a 3 month contract, but they're very very positive. And the bizarre thing is when you look at the applications, you've got to have a degree to work in a supermarket. You're just thinking, what the hell's going on here? It's a whole syndicate on forcing people to pay for education just to work in the local supermarket, where Australia's probably like the UK, where you end up in the supermarket normally because you haven't got an education. So it's very, very strange.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. You'll have to excuse me when I cough now and again. I came back on Tuesday, and today's Saturday, and I've got a bit of a chest infection. Thank God I got on the plane at the end of the trip. I was healthy there, but coming back, I'm crook at the moment. But anyway, yeah, it's a real mind blow the amount of staff that they have to do anything in the Philippines. Oh, I love the guy. I love this. When you go into the big shopping centers, I call it the guy with the magic stick. You know how security seems to have a drumstick?
Yeah,
And
there's a quick search on you.
well, it's not even a quick search. They touch the woman's handbag with the stick, like if it's Harry Potter. This drumstick's going to magically tell them whether there's something in the bag, and then they walk through. And whenever I walk through, not I didn't mind, the female security guard would just give me a little hug, and that'd be it. On your way.
Yeah, so you're not doing it right. I normally get the female security guard normally clenches my buttocks in some looking for something that may be a concealed weapon of some sort, and you just and smiling at you at the same time, where she's got to reach around and just grabbing you, and you're just going. I'm sure I'm sure I'm being some sort of fondled, but I don't mind.
I wasn't that fortunate.
Yeah, it's just I need to use both hands here. I need to I may be 20 minutes, don't mind me.
Or the insane things that people that work in Manila have to put up with, like uh, here I am a tourist with all the time in the world passing through, and it was in the afternoon, and I was watching people in the street line up at street level to go up the stairs to then get onto the is it the MRT, their train service?
Yeah, that's it, the MRT, which is
Yeah,
like three times its load. It can't
yeah,
take any more.
and I don't know how long it would take them to even get onto the platform. But I thought, how frustrating for them, even to get on those little vans, those UV Express vans.
Yeah,
My
yeah. The infrastructure,
God.
the infrastructure, I think, is actually changing under Duterte. It's a very difficult thing to change because they have so much power and influence. Because the number of people involved in the transportation industry, etc., is horrendous. They have a very powerful vote, for change of government. I remember with Talisay, they moved the market and they sort of give a big finger to the market vendors and the transportation people, the tricycle drivers. It cost them the election because they have so much power of their vote, because the numbers are huge. But I do think the Duterte is on the right track with that. And I know I get so much stick with people that are like, Duterte's doing this, Duterte's doing that. You know what? Duterte, although people think he's a communist or whatever, Duterte is pro fixing the country, which is all the Philippines wants, is to have a functioning country. Well, at least some of them do.
And not just that, but it's too easy to be an armchair observer and go, well, okay, this is what they should do. Like, I mean to say, regardless of how honest or how corrupt Duterte may be, and I'm not saying he is either way, uh, he's dealing with hell in a handbasket. Like, where do you start? Like you can talk pollution, transport. I suppose, as a sub for pollution, you're looking at water. It's insane. Like I went for a harbour cruise. Well, sorry, a bay cruise. It's a bay, isn't it? Manila Bay. It's not a harbour. but
Yeah,
but
yes,
but
the bay. It's the bay.
I went for a bay cruise, and it was supposed to be like you're having a feed on the boat, but like when I got on the wharf to get on this boat, all I could smell was sewage, and that didn't make me very didn't increase my appetite for the harbour cruise meal. And when I got onto the boat, I think I was the only Caucasian on the boat. The rest were Filipinos, and probably half of them had a handkerchief over their mouth, waiting for it to leave the wharf. You know. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I remember. See, the funny, I was brought up in the early '80s in Hong Kong, so I remember Hong Kong Harbor and stuff. You know, when the old Star Ferry cross and stuff, where it was all in its infancy and it was a big thing, and the smell of sewage and stuff was horrendous. You know, it's the population. The population simply, you could tell what's time they went to the toilet. Let's just say that you could smell you could smell it when you went down to the harbors and stuff.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, and like you say, Manila Bay, exactly the same. You can, it's not crystal clear water; it's more chocolate covered, and it's not. It's coffee in it. It's like coffee.
Yeah, like after you were about I don't know 15 minutes away from the wharf, it was okay. It was lovely to see all the neon, the way stuff's lit up. It looks really nice. Um, but again, like with that happening, I wasn't on the boat thinking, oh, this is really bad. Like, of course, I didn't enjoy it, but it was my first overseas experience, and it was sort of making it. I know it sounds absurd, but I made it fun. You know, like it was just so off the wall. I thought, okay, you know, let's make the best of this, and I did. I had a great time on the little boat. It only went for an hour and a half, but there was these two people playing music, and they just had ordinary tables with all different tablecloths and all different glasses on top of the tables. And it was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And the people were so friendly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the thing is, it's surprising because that, like you're saying, you've enjoyed the trip, you've found it like fantastic and everything else because it's so different, and you're seeing the happiness out of stuff that is normally you would like if somebody did that in Australia, you'd be going, "What the hell is going on?" But in the
Yeah,
Philippines, you can see like they're happy with whatever. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, it's just like, I mean, I know when we went to a resort in Naga, which is just south of Minganilla. We hired a room, we hired half a resort, and we went swimming. You know what? I think everybody needed a tetanus or something after it. The water was like chocolate and stuff. I was sick, everyone was sick, and I'm thinking, this is all the crap and everything coming out of Cebu City that's washing down to Naga. Because if I go an hour south on the road, the water is crystal clear. But here, I need a shot. I need something to some antibiotics because there's so much crap in the water. There's from the plastics. It's from the pure sewage being pumped into the water and everything else. But at the same time, do you know what? Everyone was still happy. They were at the resort, they were at the beach, and you're like, but the water is like a septic tank, you know.
yes, yeah.
But people
But
still love it.
yeah, I was very fortunate. I didn't suffer any food poisoning, and I did try street food. I made a point of not having ice, and I only had bottled water. Um, the most confronting thing that I ever ate there was, and I don't know the Filipino name for it, but I only had, when I smelt it, I thought, oh my God, but not to offend. I tried to eat it, which was unsuccessful. And that was a caribou blood soup. Oh my God. Yeah, like I had lots of street food, which was really good, but that was the champion of all of it. And the people that were around me sort of were a bit offended, as if to say, like, you don't like it. I thought, oh, I'm very sorry, but I can't eat it. But oh my God, I can still smell it. Yeah, when you smell something and offends you so much that you never forget the smell, I can almost imagine it now. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was it the dried blood or was it something a bit more meaty?
it was meaty. It was thick. It was like a stew.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's made out of the blood, and then there's like chunks of meat in it. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, that's I've eaten that, but the problem I have, I mean, even before I met my wife, my ex partner's parents used to call me the garbage pail because it doesn't matter what it is, I would still eat it anyway. So I have a very strong threshold when it comes to food, but I've got to admit I'm not a fan of pork or stuff, but I do like things like blood sausage and things like that, but it's got to be done right. I'll tell you what I did find really didn't taste well for me is there was a fighting cock and it lost the fight, but the person I know had basically stewed it because they'd won the fight. So if you win the fight, you get the loser as well. You can cook the loser of the fight. And and the thing is, I remember biting into it, and you just had that, and I'm not sure if it was a liver or a lung or something, but it certainly left a memory.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I really can't knock them with their caribou soup, considering Aussies have Vegemite.
Vegemite, yeah, I can't. I've got to admit, Vegemite, I can't deal with that. I've got to admit, the eating a dead chicken's lung or whatever it was is probably better than Vegemite.
Breakfast of champions, mate. Ask Jake.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't eat that stuff. I would not even. I don't even know. I've tasted it once, and I think I needed to use a razor blade to clean my tongue.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at your live chat and I'll answer my first ever question. I think it's directed to me. How about the Manila ladies? Well, to tell the truth, when I went, I was planning to go to the Philippines for 3 years. And then I did the classic thing. I had too many Shiraz and I thought, there must be an Asian dating site. So I clicked on datingasia.com. Met a woman, not met, but text about 5 women. Uh, 3 of the 5 were scammers. Met one. I've been talking with her for about since last November last year, and met her and stayed with her for the whole 20 days. Well, we traveled together. So yeah, that's my experience of Pinades. I'm more of a relationship guy than a playboy.
So did you meet any women that you actually thought were the right one, or
Well,
you
that's what
just
I'm saying.
thought,
I met this one and was with her for the whole 20 days.
yeah? Sorry, I was just responding to one of the messages. So how did you get on with the one you met with?
Good, good, really good. Like we talked or have been talking every day for over 12 months now. And I met her family, and um, thankfully, hopefully, I've learned from listening to some of the horror stories on YouTube and the forums. And uh, I took your advice, Matt. Take your time. It rang in my ears, and I'm still taking my time. I've made no promises, and I intend to go back and spend more time with her. And Yeah, it's been really good. I enjoyed it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, I've got to admit that's an important thing is to take your time because some of these women, and I'll be honest with you, not just you, you, but overall, some of these women are a bit like Christianity for me. And I say this from the fact that my first employer when I left school was a person that committed crime on a Friday and Saturday, committed he then took his sins to confession on a Sunday, and then was back to it on Monday. This is why you need to take your time and make sure this is the right person, but also to find the right information behind them to make sure there is no history there. You suddenly go, "Oh, I didn't realize you had 4 children." This is sort of stuff that goes on. You just like, even now, I've got to admit, I'm happily married and everything else. My wife has people say to my wife, I don't believe these children are yours. You still look like you're 20 something, whatever, because my wife, I'll be blatant. My wife is very beautiful. We've got, happily married, got kids and everything else. But people go, are you sure they're your children? As if like they were sort of grown out the ground or something. At the end of the day, you've got to be very careful sometimes. And the more time you take, the more likely information is to come. If you don't take that time, this is where people often find these mistakes come, where they're like, she told me she was this. She told me this. She promised me this, and blah blah blah. Give it time. It's very easy, like a garden. If you want to grow a lawn and get rid of the weeds, you grow the garden, put the grass down, and you sit for the weeds to grow. Then you pluck them. If you sit there and go, there is going to be no weeds in this garden, there's going to be weeds. At the end of the day, it's going to happen. And this is why it's more important to take your time. So, how did you weed out these people were scammers? What stood out, Dave? What made that stand out for you?
Um, well, just sort of seem like to be generic messages that they'd send you. No one asked me for money. One called me Jeff halfway through the conversation. That was a giveaway.
Was that a
Um,
transaction? Was that a transsexual?
who knows? Possibly.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it, but she had a bigger penis than me.
I'll leave that to JLB, mate. um, well, like I suppose I think it works both ways on the dating site. Equally, you've got your scammers, but I think on the other side, you've also got a lot of jaded guys that have been burnt and get on there and just crash and burn with their relationships and don't give a toss and use the women as a plaything. I think it goes both ways, but I'm no one's fool. I'm just taking my time and very relaxed about it. I've been around the block and I'm not being starstruck by all of this and thinking, okay, this is the be all of end all. Like, my God, it's my first time going overseas. Of course, it's all fascinating and all sparkly and glittery. It's all interesting. And after the dust settles, we'll see what happens. But yeah, if it all goes well, I wouldn't mind, dipping my toe back into having a relationship. But at the same time, I do listen and watch what's happened to everybody else.
So,
Uh,
so Dave, that puts you above probably about 80% of the people because you probably read some of the abusive stuff I get sometimes where people go, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about. And for me, I'm just like, okay, do your own decisions, do what you want. But I'm just talking from experience and sitting listening to people cry in front of me going my life's fell apart. At the end of the day, you're doing it the smart way where you're like, if it works it works, but at the same time, if it doesn't, I'm smart enough to actually understand that the woman in front of me is probably looking for money.
yes.
Yeah, so yeah,
Or if
expand
not,
on that.
if not money, a better lifestyle, and money funds that, of course, but also I can't blame that person. Like, my God, like, it's hard enough for them to leave their own damn country to have a passport to travel, and to pull yourself above the rest, trying to make a dollar, or in that case, a peso over there, it's extremely difficult. So I don't blame them. And mind you, like, over the years, half the tools that go over there and get ripped off or scanned, they're not even investigating anything, and they have no social skills, and or they're that bitter, it's they've got no hope of starting anything. And I'm not saying I'm any much better than that, but sort of these guys are a self-fulfilled prophecy. When they go over there, they're looking to crash and burn.
Yeah. I would say, Dave, that's a bit unfair on your own side, because the fact is you're a self-employed business person, so you're ahead of them in many ways. Because the fact is you are able to substantiate your own income by being self-employed, where a lot of these people go, I'm going to open an internet cafe, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, what did you do before? Well, I worked in a factory. You already understand business.
Yes. Yeah. I suppose it's like some of the very clever people that go over there and they've never been on a motorcycle. So what do? They hire a moped and don't use a helmet, then get drunk and wonder why it went wrong.
Dave, are you talking about me? Yeah. I've got to admit that's. I'll be honest with you. I'm the person that drives through busy traffic at over 100 kilometers an hour. That is me. My motorbike will do. I think it's a. Trying to think what the speed is. It's about just under 100 miles an hour. And the reason I know that is because I've maxed it out. The funniest thing is when we go to, me and my wife used to go to SM Mall, and we'd go on the motorbike, and then she'd get the taxi back because she'd fill it up with all the shopping, and then I would just follow it back on the motorbike. The motorbike used to panic because, the taxi used to panic because they could see the motorbike out the back of the window. I think I'm going to shoot right up the side and shoot them or something. So the motorbike then puts its foot down, thinking there's some sort of robbery or something going on. So I'm then like, why is this taxi going so fast? And I'm like, okay, I'll keep up with the taxi. And then the taxi driver's going, there's a motorbike following us. There's a motorbike following us. And it's like, yeah, that's my husband. He's following us on the motorbike.
Yeah.
The sweat coming off the taxi driver, thinking that somebody's going to shoot him through the side of the window or something. It's like, yeah, that's my husband. And it's like, oh, I thought it might be the boyfriend or something. That's And I've had it even on the back of jeepneys where I've took the guys from the call center to another call center, and we're like going there for to look at the call center, see what it's doing and everything else. So I've got like 8 guys from the call center. Then we're going to Jollibee and back to the house and everything. So I've took them to have like where you're doing a business thing where you take your staff to look at a new business venture and you want their input and all this sort of stuff. So I took all the guys out, and we need a jeepney because obviously I can't fit everybody on the motorbike. And then the jeepney's like swerving in and out and going, there's a motorbike following me. There's a motorbike following me. And everyone's like, yeah, that's our boss. He's, they're in the driver's in a blind panic thinking that this guy's going to attack me with what's going on. Yeah, welcome to the Philippines. But yeah, this stuff goes on. It's just so funny when it happens. But I do love my motorcycle in the Philippines. I got a Kawasaki Rouser there. It's 220 cc's, which is way faster than the majority of motorbikes there. There isn't a lot that can beat it off the traffic lights, honestly, even though it's a touring bike. I think how much did I pay? I think I paid 113,000 pesos for it. but it's a very, very good bike. Very good bike. I love it. Um, but yeah,
You're a
yeah,
legend riding a motorcycle, Matt. My God, I don't know what it's like in provincial areas, but it's a death wish in Manila. My
it's
God,
it.
like
It's the
it,
same. It's the same. I've already had 5 crashes. My wife doesn't like me riding a motorbike. There was a thing where I bought these what do you call it? Like the trays for cooking cupcakes. We got those little indents. Well, I had a jeepney slam on the brakes with no lights on, and I nearly ran into the back of it. So all these trays and that went everywhere after I bought them for my wife. So every time she was in the Philippines, she would open these trays up, and every time she was doing it, it's like every time I cook, I think about you because all these dents and these cakes are because you nearly died in a car crash. Because at the end of the day, that because she doesn't like me on the motorbike. She's like, all these dents on these trays are because you had to emergency brake. I crashed and skidded across the road and everything else. And the trays all got dented, and she's like, it reminds me that you nearly died in an accident, and I don't like you on a motorbike. That was it. That was it. And every time she cooks with those trays, she reminds me. I tell you that now. She reminds me. But
yeah.
I love the motorbike. I love going at stupid speeds as fast as it will go. And I'm one of those idiots with no helmets, t-shirts and shorts, flat out as fast as you can go, trying to touch my knee on the ground. That's
I
me.
don't know how you can go as fast as you can go. Like, my God, in Manila, I think uh, I learned very quickly, even though I wasn't driving, I was always a passenger, of course, but I think you can only go fast as safely as you can brake.
No, no. See, the thing with me is I weave in and out that traffic flat out. I'm not being funny. I've had people in jeepneys sort of like jump out the way because they can see me. I'm just whizzing between the cars and everything else at least 90 kilometers an hour. It's I've got to admit, it doesn't matter if it's the Philippines or anywhere else. I love the speed. Even when I was the speed limit in the UK is 70 miles an hour. But when I used to drive between Scotland and England, I'd be up to about 115, 120 miles an hour through the mountain bits between Scotland and England. I, yeah, I've got no fear of speed. Let's put it that way. I love it. I love touching the edge. I love that stuff. I love feeling the car just feeling light or the motorbike feeling light. That's my adrenaline rush.
I love how they do a lane change in Manila. It's called cutting you off.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, or you just get a hand out the window and they just do it, don't they? You just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Well, I never saw the
I'm
hand
moving
out.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
never saw the hand out the window. They just cut you off, and they do it with surgical precision. They'll do it within about an inch or two, even if it's a big bus. It amazes me how close they come. Or if you're entering a main road from a side street, no
Yeah.
one's going to let you in. You've just got to put your nose out. Like, obviously there's an art to the chaos. I mean, say after about 10 days, I realized that, okay, there's an obvious rhythm to this, because I'm sure there's many, but I didn't see one car accident.
No, no. This is the thing. It's like the fish. Where you have a whale and all the other fish follow under it. The whale just passes through. There's no crash, and then the small fish just seem to move in between each other. It's like that. There is no accidents. The accidents happen when there's idiots on tricycles that have had too much tanduay and just think, you know what, that truck will stop. That's where the
Yeah,
accidents happen.
yeah. I nearly got run over, which was my own fault, um, because in Australia we drive on the other side, and I just stepped off the gutter looking in the wrong direction, you know, and thank God there wasn't a car coming, because there was a bus in the next lane that just flew by, and I thought, oh my God, if that bus was in the lane, because I just stepped straight out like a mug. Oh my God.
Do you still drive on the same side of the British then in Australia?
Yeah, yes, of course. We're members, mate. We're Commonwealth still. We got
I, I,
a
ju- I wonder that because I always see the issues with people throwing eggs at the Queen and stuff. That's why I asked.
no. Who throws eggs at the Queen?
Well, last time I seen that, there was still Princess Diana. I don't think there's been any trip since then.
No, mate. We had God save the Queen, Australia.
Is that on the blacklist? You're on the blacklist. No visitors.
Australians are too lazy to vote for a republic.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think your Australia is more in line with Prince Philip, isn't it? With the bit of the old racism stuff. Yeah, and I'm not mocking it because I've got relatives in New Zealand who are exactly the same. It's I think I mean my aunt. I'll tell you this. I shouldn't really be saying this, but my aunt's New Zealand. Her husband's Swiss, but they're in an Indian restaurant in New Zealand because they live there. My father's there on holiday, and they said, "This restaurant's all right because their own people eating here as well."
I think like racism's everywhere. I mean, you say the Chinese hate the Taiwanese, the everyone hates the French and no one likes Trump.
Yeah, that's so this is the funny thing, right? It's like the business ventures doing recently. Everybody's ripped me off has been Indian, right? I'm not being funny. They've stolen about $10,000 from me. Now, am I racist saying the Indians have stolen the money from me because they're all Indian? Or is it just the fact that they're all Indian and they're all fucking, sorry, I swear, and they're all thieves? Or just the people I'm dealing with just happen to all be Indian? That's the problem. But when you talk to other people in the same sort of businesses, it seems to be a bit of a trend to be politically correct.
Yeah, well, political correctness everywhere. But I think Australia gets a hard deal making out that we're heavily racist. I don't think we are. I think Australia is very laid back. Racism's everywhere on a certain level, but Australia, particularly in Sydney, it's very multicultural. I think a lot of people that have never been here would get a shock. They think there's kangaroos down the main street and we're all Caucasian, and that's certainly not the case. I mean, say in my life, I've only had one Aussie girlfriend, and the rest have been every other nationality. And I'm sixth generation Australian, but no, my racism extends to what people do, not their skin color. You know, an example of that, like there's an area. Well, I won't be so specific, but people spitting in the street or stuff like that. That's where I find it, offensive with certain cultures.
Did you say Chinese there?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. I've got to admit that you know and I know which ones are doing this. But yeah, I understand completely because I was on about this earlier about Romanians because I have some Romanian friends. My son's best friend is Romanian. His mother drives a Porsche Cayenne. Yet at the same time, the biggest culprits for thievery in Spain with the pickpockets and everything are from a certain group within that same country. But everyone goes, it's the Romanians. Well, it's not all the Romanians. It's just they just happen to have a crappy group in amongst them, and that's the problem. At the end of the day, you have specifics. And you go, well, they're not all the same. It's like I didn't say that though. It's just that it happens if somebody turns around and says, "Oh, we're doing this X, Y, Z," you're going to go, "I don't trust you."
Yes, yeah. Well, if you want to, like, I'll talk about my most recent experience when I talk about racism. I discovered that with Filipinos, and I might be generalizing, but I'm just speaking from my experience. They can take the piss out of you, but if you say something even just a little bit, they get so offended. Yeah, and like for instance, uh, a lot of the time when I'd speak English, they take the piss out of the way I speak English. And I
Yeah.
was okay with that. I was cool, no worries. And then I'd say something like the way they say to. I can't even mimic it, but they've got that American twang on the way they say things. And I said it back, and they got offended. And I thought, wow, I just sat here listening to you mock me for 5 minutes. I just jokingly took one, and they got offended. I thought, wow,
Yeah,
lesson
it's
learned.
yeah. So the thing with me is like I just say it as it is, which is why even in the business sense, I put some on LinkedIn today, and then even under what I put a comment that I do not expect any comments because the fact is people are hiding behind the fact that they fear the actual truth and reality. Um, what you're saying is, I say to this to my wife, even, it says, at the end of the day, I'm Scottish, even though my accent doesn't say it and everything else. So I'm supposed to be like a violent drunk as a stereotype because that's what we are. I've got to admit, I'm violent, but I'm not drunk. But at the same time, these stereotypes exist. And this is one of the things you may have seen this in this stuff I say is where I turn around and say to people, stop being your stereotype. I bring that up quite a lot. If you don't like being called stupid, which is what quite common with the Filipinos, well, stop doing stupid things. At the end of the day, that is it. And Australian, I've got to admit, I have nothing to say about Australia in a negative way. At the end of the day, I think probably Australia is probably me because I think Australia's probably had more Scottish influence, which is probably why it sits in with the way I think and say things. Um, I can't really have anything negative to say about it.
Yes, well, I'm half Scottish.
There you go.
uh, well, we all got banished here, didn't we?
But yeah,
Steal,
yeah,
steal a
this
loaf of bread and off you go.
yeah, this is the funny thing when people go about the slavery of Africa and everything. I think people forget about how the Irish and Scottish were screwed over by the British in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to do the White Lives Matter for Australia.
Should I run? Do you think I should run for the next election as president, or what do you have? Do you have a prime minister of Australia? I'm not 100% now.
Yeah, we've got Turnbull, and no, if it, my God, run for prime minister. I think if you and me were on a radio show together, we wouldn't make it to the car park. We'd offend so many people on air.
Yeah, we just say it as it is, and that we just say it as it is. We need to switch this off now.
Yes, yes. I think this will be my only debut on live chat on YouTube. I
Yeah.
see how much the trolls give curry to everybody, and it's something I don't need in my life.
Dave, I forgot to mention to you. What do you think about God? Yeah, yeah. I just want to. You just want to mention God and Muslims. Just take it from there.
Well, God is the greatest. We all know that.
But how many arms does he have?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, again, you'll have to excuse me. I'm crook. It's why I keep coughing.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Dave. I think people are actually enjoying the show because we're actually very honest and open, which is something that is very unusual in today's world.
All six watching.
You say six, that'll be 186 by next Friday.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that
oh,
see, the funny thing with this is, right? I mean, we give the opportunity to people, but we're in different time zones right now. Here in Spain, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so we're sort of limited to our audience. But at
yeah.
the same time, I'm sure America will switch on to this tomorrow, which is where there'll be a lot more comments and stuff about the stuff we're talking about. What's Tim on about? Let's have a look at Tim's comments. Um, let's have a look in the quick comments. Uh, what's that? Terry McGee. I'm an old London boy living in the Philippines now. Tim, my ex, was so racist about other Filipino, it was beyond belief. Don't think so, Tim. Blah blah blah. Okay. Uh, here's a question for Matt. What country did Scotland invade? Scotland didn't invade countries. It's I've got to be it. I think Scotland is probably the most socialist country on the planet. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know, mate. My heritage is there, but I know nothing about it. I've never looked into it.
Yeah,
As I said,
I mean Scotland and Ireland are very very close, but at the same time they have two of my most important habits available: fighting and drinking.
yeah, my research into Scotland was just watching Braveheart, which starred an Aussie, by the way.
Yeah, that yeah you see the thing. You know the bizarre thing is you mentioned that, but I actually went to see his his sword. I actually went to what's it called? It's near Sterling. What's his name again from Braveheart?
Oh God, put me on the spot. Um, oh, pass. Can I call a friend?
Yeah,
It's too
yeah.
early. I'm cooked.
I actually went to where his sword is held. His sword, I think, is 5 foot 6 inches long. And I went, and it's like a big, like, tower with like a crown, but it's like two hands holding, like very. Yeah, I visited it. I've been there. I've actually been to where the the um the crown is. I've been to the different battle sites. I went to Bannockburn. I went to yeah, the because that's the problem with being Scottish. You actually have a heritage with that. When people go, "What are you doing with that?" Yeah, there you go. Tim's of William Wallace. Yeah. I actually went to see where his sword is kept and climbed up in the tower and looked down on the world and stuff. Um, if you're in Scotland, it's worth doing. If you're in Scotland at the same time as I am, I'll quite happily take you there. It's a very beautiful place. You go up in the tower, you can see for miles in every direction. Very, very beautiful. Um, on the same time, I went to Edinburgh Castle. Edinburgh Castle is somewhere I cycled around on a weekly basis because I was up looking after RBS Bank for several months, 4 months. Um, yeah, beautiful place, beautiful place. The surprising thing is how Hollywood makes it much bigger than it really is. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know. Like another thing, I haven't researched it. So Scotland's very small, is it? Everything's small compared to Australia, mate. I was shocked how small England is.
Yeah, yeah. England is a dominant place in the sense that it can send warships anywhere on the planet, but at the same time, it's a very small location. Scotland has a population of about 8 million still, I believe, because obviously it's been a population that goes overseas rather than actually lives in country because there's no work. But historically and everything else, amazing place to visit. I love being there. You know, I cross the the border from England to Scotland when I get to Carlisle. It starts raining, which is like it almost almost you can see the rain and everything else. You know, it's sunny, rain starts. You go, I'm in Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, crap weather starts as soon as you go north.
Well, yeah, it goes hand in hand. I mean, to say like the rainy weather, but it looks so evergreen over there, and in parts of Australia when we have drought, it's all brown and like powder. So, you know, the weather dictates the landscape. Anyway, I've got to get going, Matt. I'll have my next antibiotics and have a coffee. It's in the morning. You haven't even had breakfast yet, and it's been great having a conversation with you.
Yeah, you too, mate. Because it's the first time we've actually had a conversation. um, but yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Take it easy. And I'm really happy you enjoyed your first trip to the Philippines. I'm glad I influenced it.
Thank you very much. You take care.
Yeah, take it easy, mate. We'll see.
Bye.
Speak soon. Bye, bye. Okay, now Dave's left us. Does anybody else want to go into the live chat and talk about what they've been up to lately? Uh, Terry McGreevy says Scotland invaded Wembley and nicked our goalposts. Um, they may have done, but I cannot confirm or deny it this time. Um, well, Scotland is not going to the World Cup. England is. Yeah, I would say there may be, but I think there's too many kebabs in the UK. It's not good for our influence in the sporting facilities and abilities of people out of the UK. Kebabs should be banned for anybody that's able to do sport in a capacity that can actually represent the country. Uh, Tim Rogers, Terry, they could be going to the USA an alternative competition. Yes, Matt, and there is a living. They're all living in England. They're about Scottish, but Tim, there is nothing like the real thing. Yeah, there's a lot of conversations going on tonight. Grand Adam, I'm going to sleep. Have a good night. You too, mate. Take it easy. Enjoy your sleep. And I won't be far behind, in honesty. I'm probably going to sit and watch a Netflix special, but I certainly won't be too far behind. Panama. Tim, if I go to Panama, he remember this. I'll take you with me. I'll be honest with you. If I go there, I'll bring you with me. Just remind me to take you. Um, I'm going to cut this live chat off unless anybody wants to get on it. You got like 30 seconds. Because quite simply, it's quite cold here in Spain. I want to go to bed. But you want to get in the chat, the link, just scroll up. If you don't, you got 20 odd seconds now before I go to bed. 19, 18, 17. There's no Captain Scarlet going to come out of this. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 9. Get on a live chat. Just come in for a chat for 2 minutes. 8 seconds. 7, 6. Why is it even? See, even the trolls don't come online. Do you know why? Because they're so full of crap. They don't want to confront somebody who actually tells the truth. They just like lying. Um, Actually having to sit there and listen to somebody that just goes, "Why are you lying about this? Why did you make this up?" They don't want to talk about this. Um, Welcome to reality. I am reality. I am who I am. I am who I am. I've got no reason to lie. I love life. I love what I'm doing. I love the chats. Get on board or go to bed. 2 seconds. You got a last second now. Come on, guys. You're gonna lose me in a second now, because I'm gonna go to bed myself. Okay. Last opportunity. Good night, guys. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And I hope everybody's happy. Enjoy life. Thank you.